Hey, Zach.
Hey,
How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Just give me a thought on Montreal. They had a coaching change, and now it looks like what's happened to you guys is happening to them. They're having that bit of a bump going in. You're on the other side of that now. Just give me a thought about tonight, I guess.
Yeah, they're playing extremely well. They're winning games. I think they have confidence. So they're playing really well. They're a good team, and obviously the coaching changes reinvigorated them, and they got good players over there. They made it to the conference. There's not the conference on. They made it to the Stanley Cup final last year, and you're very familiar with that team.
Is there something to be said about a coaching change? Because we see this a lot. When is it just a new voice, a new systems, or what is it about a new face behind the bench that kind of seems to jolt a team?
Yeah, I think a combination of what you said. I think for those guys over there, obviously, you know, they have a lot of young players that have something to prove and that want to be there for a long time, and that, you know, they're not just playing for this year, they're playing for next year and for everything that goes with that. So I think that they want to impress their new coach, and they want to play well and strong and hard, and it's a National Hockey League. You want to play, and you want to win every game you play. So
overall, what were your impressions of the road trip? How you looking back at it now, the 5 games, how'd you feel you guys came out on the other side?
Yeah, I thought that it was competitive hockey. Every game was a tight game, I thought. We played against some really good teams on that road trip, and I thought it was great for our group to grow, and I thought that it was a good road trip for us.
Hey, Zach.
Hey.
What kind of vibe do you expect tonight in the context of Saturday night, Montreal Canadiens? If it's not going to be full, it's going to be very close, and obviously I'm sure there'll be some Montreal fans sprinkled in.
For sure. Well, first off, it's going to be great just being home, just in general, being home, playing in front of our fans, and I think it'll be full capacity, which will be great. So we haven't had that in a while, so it's going to be exciting from that front. And then again, anytime you play against Montreal, Canadian on Canadian rivalry matchup. I think with the Canadian division last year, I wasn't on the team last year, obviously, but I played against Montreal a lot, and the guys in our locker room played against Montreal a lot. So they're a good team. It should be a good test.
Now that you're through about 2/3 of a season here with Edmonton, after playing in the Eastern Conference for the first part of your career, have you noticed a change in the travel, either the length of the road trips, more games in different time zones? Has it been any sort of an adjustment for you?
No, I mean, I think we get home a little later sometimes, but you play 41 road games, so maybe travel's a little bit harder, but no, it's hockey.
Wonder how you guys view the dynamic. You'll play a team like Chicago or Montreal, and people from the outside will say this is a game that you should win because they're 20-something in the standings and stuff. Do you view it that way, that you're at a place now where you should be beating these teams, or is that a little bit unfair to 2 National Hockey League teams playing and one team should beat the other?
Sure, but I mean, it's hockey. I think that unlike any other sport, anybody can win any game. You have great players. It's not just about who's the better team. You got to really dominate a game to be sure you're going to win it. But in hockey, things happen. I think that you have to prepare yourself every game, no matter who you're playing. And this team's no joke. They've been playing really well of late, beating some really good teams. And like I said earlier, they got a lot of young guys with a lot of skill, and they made the Stanley Cup final last year. So they're a good team.
The things that you guys are doing better since the coaching change, are you still seeing that trending up, or is it level? How do you maintain that as your coach called it, just an increase in work ethic?
Well, I think if you just look at the standings, I think that should be motivation enough, right? I think we're in a battle. Like, our division's extremely tight, and I think it's it's been, I don't know, you lose track of time during the season, but it's been quite a bit of time that we've had Woody and the new coaching staff. So I think everybody's adjusted well, and I think that we got to keep winning games here, and we got to keep playing well. We got to maintain our work ethic, and the schedule is every other day, so we got to keep playing.
Zach, over here, is there a difference in style of game from the Eastern and Western teams? You played in the East all your life. Is there a difference in style of game?
I mean, last year was a little bit of a mix-up with the Canadian division, so I got to see both, I guess. But I I wouldn't say necessarily the conferences are a different style of game, but obviously the individual teams that you play, I think that you have teams that are similar between both conferences. Yeah, I think there's always been kind of the West is heavier and the East is faster and skilled type of mentality, but I don't know. I think that both conferences have teams that do both of those things I mentioned, and they're just good teams in both.
So your team wants to be heavy and skilled?
I think that's the goal for any team. You want to have a combination of everything, and you want to be well-rounded, and you want to win the Stanley Cup.
Thank you.
Evander Kane has said a couple of times, I think he said it between periods the other day and then again after the game, that it feels like the group needs to maybe play a little bit heavier at times, a little bit more of that. So he says it when we talk to him. Is it something that, that he clearly wants the group to try and do it? Is he vocal about it as well and really feeling like that's something that's important?
Well, I think just by nature, if you play in the playoffs long enough, you realize that that's kind of the way things get, and that's how the way things are. And as every game you move in the season, it's harder and harder to score goals off the rush, and it's more of a grind game, a cycle game. So yeah, I think you need a combination of it all. But look at Tampa Bay; they got both. They won the Cup past 2 years, and they can score in any way. So I think that you strive to be able to be a well-rounded team, and being heavy, I think, is something that's really important. I think it gets thrown out there a lot by just in general. Like when I was in Toronto, that was the theme. And when I'm here, I think that's the theme. But I think that you don't necessarily need the biggest bodies. I think being heavy is a mindset, and just being heavy on your stick and being hard to play against can be what defines being a heavy team, not necessarily weight and size. And I think that we have the people in the locker room that can play that style.
Yeah, and it's, maybe appearing in your game a little bit more often, but I wonder, because he talks about it often, does he just do it and that's his part in pulling on that rope, or does he talk about that as well with the group?
Well, I think the group talks about it. I think Evander plays that style, right? I think he's a bigger guy, and not just a bigger guy who skates around. He's a bigger guy that gets into the dirty areas and holds onto the puck, and scores, in the blue paint, right? So, I think that that's something that definitely we talk about as a group. He talks about, I think, in general. So, yeah.
Zach, just a thought on your ice time in the last 4 or 5 games. Do you feel it when it's elevated to a certain point more so than other games?
So do I feel that it's...
Do you feel it if you're playing 24, 25 minutes as compared to 19? Can you tell from game to game that was a bit of a grind?
Right. Okay, I got the question. I think when you're in the game as a player, you want to be on the ice as often as possible. I think we're all competitive, and we want to, you want to help the team out as much as you can. And obviously that's a coach's decision how much ice time you get. And when you're out there, you try to maximize that. But I guess the question, I think, yeah, you're maybe you're not aware at the end of the game how many minutes you played, but you're aware of, if one game you played more than the other game, if it's, way off from what you usually play. But I think that we're in a good rhythm with our group. I think it's been going pretty well of late, and we just got to keep pushing forward.